Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today we are building a new deck and I am getting ready to cut the post heights for the deck, for the beam. How do you do that? I just want to run through with you to show you how we figure this out. Now we're using a high-tech model or a high-tech version of this, so maybe you can do this on a different way or a low-tech version of it, but I'm just going to show you how we do it, and then maybe it'll help somebody out there figure out the heights of their posts for their deck. This is a second story deck, so I already have the elevation justified on the side of the house. We have our ledger already attached, so I know what I need for the height of the top of the beam. Now we're hanging our joists between our ledger and our beam. We're not doing a drop beam. These things you need to know before you start trying to figure out what height your posts need to be, because it will change how that works. So because I know that there's my ledger and there's my height, I'm going to use a laser to get a control number. And that control number will be what I add to my footings. My footings are already in the ground over here. You can see them over here, okay? Footing is already in the ground and it's already ready to go for the base, okay? So I know I have my base. So what I'm going to do is I fired up my laser, okay? And I have a receiver right here. And this is a Stabila LAR150 with a REC300 digital receiver. Now this receiver, when it detects a laser, it's going to start beeping. And then when it gets to the right height, it's going to beep solid. There it is. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, so what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go over to the house and I'm trusting this laser that it's level, that it's perfectly straight, plumb, okay? So I'm going to go over to the house. I'm going to put a couple indicator marks on the side of the house. So I'm going to take my receiver, I'm going to run it until I find elevation. Okay, there's the laser line right there. I'm going to put a mark on the side of the house, which I did already. I put a little line on the window. Now I'm going to measure to the top of my ledger, and I'm 36 3/4, okay? So 36 3/4 is my control measurement. I've already verified this with the other side of the house. Everything looks really good. We're within a 1/16 of an inch. So I chose 36 3/4 as my control measurement. 36 3/4. Okay, so let's write that down, 36 3/4. Now we're gonna add that measurement to whatever measurement we come up with over here on the footing. Okay, so we'll go over here. I have an elevation stick. I'm not really using it for the numbers that the elevation stick has. There's so many different ways to do this, guys. I'm just trying to simplify it to what makes sense for somebody that might be new and maybe doesn't understand how to do this. You could use a board, any piece of material. You don't need to use an elevation stick. You could just use a piece of wood or a piece of plastic or whatever happens to be rummaging around the yard if you don't have this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out from the base of my footing to where the laser is shining to here, okay? And I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna try to hold the stick fairly level. Okay, there it is. I'm gonna put a mark on the side of this stick. I'm double checking. Okay, so there's my mark. Now I need to add that measurement, but before I add that measurement, that 33 3/4, what was it? I need to subtract the thickness of my beam. If I don't subtract the thickness of my beam, my posts are gonna be too tall. The beam's gonna be sitting way up too high. So I'm gonna set this stick right here. I know that I'm using a 15-inch glue lamb, engineered glue lamb, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and subtract from 36 3/4. I know my beam's 15 inches. I'm gonna go to my calculator, my construction calculator. I'm gonna take 36 3/4. I'm gonna subtract 15 inches from it, and I get 21 3/4. And I'm gonna put a little bit of drainage on this deck. We have a waterproof bladder going this way in case I have adjustable footing so I can raise and lower them a little bit. I'm gonna put 3/4 of an inch of drainage in 16 feet, which is not a whole lot. So I'm gonna say my magic number is 21. So 21 inches is what I need to add to the measurement that came off of the stick. And the reason it's 21 inches is because I had to subtract the thickness of the beam and any drainage that I wanted to add into the deck before I get to the beam. Now that 36 3/4 is no longer valid, we got rid of that. Now 21 inches is our magic number. So we're gonna come over to the stick and we're gonna measure. I got 67 and 5/8 to here. 67 and 5/8. And I'm gonna add 21 inches to that. Go back to my construction calculator. 67 inch and 5/8 plus 21 inches, 88 and 5/8 of an inch. So that's the height I need for my post. And if you look over here on the footing, that's what it says. I wrote it down on top of the pure top, or the metal. It says 88 and 5/8 on the saddle. That's what we're gonna go ahead and cut our post down to, is 88 and 5/8. I'll do the same thing over there and get the same measurements. We'll have both those posts set, we'll brace them, and then we'll go ahead and get our beam put on top of our posts, and then it'll be set to the proper elevation, plus a little bit of drainage just to make sure things are going in the right direction. So that's how I figure out the elevation for my posts. It's very simple. It seems complicated. If you have the right tools though, it's gonna make it a lot easier for you. If you don't have a fancy laser, try to find the straightest piece of material that you possibly can. You would put your post in the saddle and have somebody hold it plumb, and then go over and put your straight edge on top of your ledger, and then you can mark your post at level, and then you got to subtract the thickness of your beam before you make your cut. That's how I used to do it, but that was a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of ladder work, when I know that if I just use this system, it works a lot nicer. Now, you don't have to go out and buy a $2,500 laser to do this. There's $100 lasers at Home Depot or at Harbor Freight. It doesn't have to be a really fancy schmancy one. You can just get something simple and achieve the same result that we do. We just happen to do this professionally, and we do it a lot. So we like to have something that's IP rated, so it'll sit out in the rain while we're working on it, and I don't have to worry about it getting ruined. So it's really about your budget. You can rent one too. You can go to a rental place and rent yourself a laser for the day, get all your elevation shot, mark everything out, cut it all down, and send it back, and it's gonna save you a ton of time. All right, so to recap what we did, we found our reference point on the house. We measured down and got the number. We came over here and measured up from the post to that laser line. We added that reference number to it. We got our post, we cut it, and now it's ready for installation. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Over and out.